Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Barham Engines. First of all guys, before we go any further, I just want to thank you all so much for going over to our second channel and subscribing. If you haven't yet, please just head over there, give it a go, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And yeah, thank you very much guys, but still stay tuned to the main channel. We've got plenty of good stuff coming up. But let's head off into the workshop and see what we've got going on today. Right guys, first job of today. You see we've got this Cosworth piston in the lathe, which many of you are not too keen on holding it in the 3-jaw, but it's a very quick process. All you need to do is just hold it very lightly there. Right, so we've got the other two there and one here. You can see that crown's been machined and these two haven't. So these are for Dave Pritchard. They're a 0.5 oversize, and I've kept these in stock for Dave because I know he periodically wants them, and when he wants me to send them sort of within a day or so, so he can crack on with his build, which is fair enough. So you can see I've done my usual valve pockets in all of them, and this one here, Dave wanted, he's done his calculations and he wanted 10th thou off the outside for the piston protrusion, and he wanted me to take 15th thou off the inside of the bowl to get the compression back to roughly where it was, and then I've just literally blended it in up this angle here. That's following the original angle. So we're just going to get these other three done guys. So what we do, we spin it up, we do this first angle first. So what I do is just zero this. This is in imperial, so each tiny little increment is a thou, and then what we do is we just move over on the big handle here and just literally touch on the front of the piston like that. We come back, put our 10th thou cut on there, pull the start handle, and you can see that is winding in automatically now. Removing the 10th thou. So that one's done. And what we do is I sort of go in about 5 mil, wind in on this slide here, and just put a cut on the front, and we wind in again about another 5 mil and go in, and this is just truing up that angle a little tiny bit more. Very therapeutic this. Then we go in and we touch on the main face. Just touch on that face. Okay. And we zero the slide. Then we wind back and just touch it on that. Just touch it on that angle at the back there. Just to blend it in. Okay, then I go forward slightly, put a 10th thou cut on, and come back again to the angle, and then automatic feed, and that's removing 10th thou off that face now. And then we've just got to go back, put another 5 thou on for our 15, and then that is that piston complete. We just deburr the edge, deburr the outside of the pockets, and job's a good one. I'm sure many of you that are into these machining processes will find this as therapeutic as I do. So you 5 thou, just wind it back into the angle. The reason I don't come all the way back to the angle then put the cut on is because it's just going to cut more into that angle, which we don't want to do. So you just go forwards a slight bit, put it on, then come back to the angle, then start your feed. You start, wind it off the job, turn off the handle. And there we go, guys. Just a quick deburr with a bit of wet and dry around the outside and on these pockets, and there we go, all done. We have got the 3 liners in the Cosworth. This is the one that's the 25 thou bigger on the outside, so we're just waiting for that. Hopefully, as I say, get it in within the next month will be ideal, but we're going to get this set up in a minute and do the 6 long studs. They have just arrived from Julian Godfrey. We've got one of these front covers here from, I forget where these are from now. But you can see you've got a big cover here, and you've got the oil pump, which is incorporated in the front cover. And as you can see, we've done quite a lot of these of them. It scores the hell out of the face. So rather than scrap this whole cover, which I don't think that's a great design, we face that and make it all nice and perfect, and then they can reuse the cover. So we do these sort of periodically. They bring 1 or 2 in. We did one last week, at the beginning of last week. So we get this one done, then we can get the Cosy block up and do them long studs. So this, I'm sure I've showed you this before, but we have to sort of go back and forth. I put a 4 thou cut on, and hopefully this will clean it. But this, you've just sort of got to go back and forth, obviously round the little intricate corners up there, and it's a little bit, you've got to work the handles here, and it's a little bit like rubbing your stomach and patting your head, that sort of thing. You've got to think where you are and where you've got to go, but you've got to do it in one hit. You can't stop the cutter, because what it'll do is just put a groove in there, and that's no good at all. This has got to be a flat surface. So what I tend to do is, once I've machined this, I normally stick it in the blaster and just very lightly, with the pressure down, just very lightly blast that surface, just to ensure that there's no grooves or anything like that there, because they'll show up as soon as you blast it. If there is, you've got to do it again, unfortunately, but you haven't got a lot of meat to play with here. You've probably got about 10 thou in total. Yeah, a little bit of an art. So today, guys, today's thumbnail and title, holding my head down in shame with this one. Firstly, you should have a bit better audio quality. I noticed in the last couple of videos, audio's been a bit crap. Apparently, Paul suggested it. The bottom of my phone that I use for recording, where the little jack goes in, it's all a bit full of fluff. I've cleaned it out, it seems to be a lot better, so let me know what you think. But anyway, moving on seriously, back to the thumbnail and title. I've had to go outside here because I don't want too many people to hear this. Now, when I started this channel, as you all know, the idea was to be truthful, honest, show you exactly how the business is running, all the pluses, the minuses, whether it be our fault or not. But occasionally a problem does arise where initially I think, I don't really want to put that in a video. It don't sort of reflect well on us, don't look great. But I did say at the very beginning that I was not going to hide anything from you. So, back to it. If you revert back to probably 6-8 months ago, we had a Renault V6 off a chap, Scott, from SG Motorsport. Now, Scott, I think, started watching our channel, decided to send down a Lotus twin cam, which is running very well, apparently. He also sent down a Renault V6. Now, Scott specialises in the Renault Clio V6s, the ones with the engine in the back. And he sent down an engine to be done. Now, this engine has been a competition engine. He said it was a load of crap before, so he wanted us to go right through it. Now, these Renault Clio engines, they're a little bit sort of rare. They're one of those engines that you're struggling to get bits for. Fortunately, Scott has got a load of bits because he's a specialist. He got crank bearings, etc., which are all colour coded. So we had to go through a load of rigmarole trying to get bits. We had to do the dummy build sizing of the working out which bearings go, because obviously we didn't know what was in it, all that, and this job went on and on for ages. Now, weeks and months went past in between doing bits of it. We obviously cleaned it right up and went through it all properly, bored it. Scott had to have pistons made, which took a couple of months, I believe. So it was one of those jobs that was not ideal, really. It was sitting about for long periods of time. We were doing bits here, bits there, and I was doing bits. Paul was obviously starting working with us then, and I've passed it on to Paul, which is not a great idea because I've done some, then he's gone and done some. And basically, holding my head down here, what we've done is I think Scott had fun and games with a clutch. So he got a clutch made. It was the wrong clutch. So he's had to get another one remade. So time's gone past, loads of weeks have gone past where he's got the engine running. So he's got it in the vehicle now, got it running. Engine all sounds all right. Runs okay, all pressure was good, all the rest of it. But when he looked under the back of the car, there was a fairly extensive oil leak coming from the front of the engine. So he sent me a little video of it leaking oil. He's got in touch with me and he said, it may be, he's had it before where it's one of the oil plugs at the side of the head. The only thing is to get to anything on that cam bout side is engine out job. So I said, obviously, Scott, what it is what it is. You know, if you take the engine out, just do it, have a look at it, and we'll sort it. You know, there's no ifs or buts there, obviously. He's took the engine out, and the cost is by the by. We don't, you know, we'll sort it no matter what. And fortunately, Scott is a really good customer. We have a great laugh on the phone. He's a great character. So it's probably happened to one of the best customers it could have happened to. But he then sent me another couple of photos saying it looks like it could have been the crank seal that's leaking, if there was one in it. So this is the photo he sent, guys. And yeah, we forgot to put the front crank seal in. So fairly embarrassing. Didn't really want to put it in a video, but promised you that I always would put everything in it. I think what's happened is we've had the crank assembly balanced. We put the front pulley on and everything just to keep everything where it is, but we didn't have a front seal in the bottom end set. It was all a bit, some gaskets were right, some were wrong, so we had to sort of get gaskets off Scott, and I meant for Scott to bring a front seal down with him when he turned up to pick the engine up and do the timing with us, but I forgot to ask him. Paul's took over from there, didn't realise, you know, he's obviously taught the front pulley up, didn't realise that I'd just sort of slid everything on there temporarily. And I've completely forgot. Scott's had it back and there's no front seal in it, guys. So yeah, lesson to be learnt there. I suppose the moral of the story is if you've got things sitting around for quite some time, you're waiting on bits, make sure you stick to a job, make sure you make notes of things that you haven't done up to that point. It's a mistake that we are hopefully never going to make again, but we're all human, and just as embarrassing as it is, I needed to share that with you. So yeah, we've just got to make sort of, I suppose, make sure it never happens again, guys. And yeah, feel free to comment down on telling me what an idiot I am. So just in the process of doing these six long stud machining, just about to do my first one here on this 200 block, and I thought it would be a good time to show you. Now I've took the two core plugs out the side here. Obviously it's got to all be cleaned up in there and blasted and what have you, but just thought I'd show you on this side here. So we've got the opposite side to the oil gallery. There is the oil gallery there that runs through the block on the opposite side. So this is the opposite side to the oil gallery. Obviously the side where you've got the oil gallery, we can't go any deeper than what we normally do. So that's 120 mil deep with the tapping drill, but we don't need to because there's no lugs down in the bottom of the water jacket. But what I mean by lugs is in here. So in there and in here, you can see that where I put that dot from the drill, that centre joint, you can see that is a lug, and that lug is about 10 mil high. So basically, with the old style ARP studs that say Burton sell, etc., if you do just 120 mil deep with the tapping drill, 10 mil of that, basically you've got about 20-25 mil of thread down there, and about half of that almost is in that lug. And what tended to happen over time is it can break the top off that lug, and then you're in trouble then, because then you've only got 10 mil of thread down the bottom and it's just not enough. So what we tend to do is go about 5 mil deeper down into the base of the block, and basically put the clearance drill about 5mm deep down through that lug, and it just takes a lot of the load off the top of that lug and it doesn't break off. So we do that on that one. We don't need to do it in the centre because this is not a through hole, or it doesn't go into the water jacket, sorry. So it's just these two. So an extra 5mm on the tapping drill, an extra 5mm on the clearance drill, and an extra 5mm on the tap. So you can see that little centre dot where it's going to go now. So I just start up the drill and very slowly just there we go, guys. A bit of a hoover out, and that there now you're not going to have any trouble with, fingers crossed. Well guys, fairly embarrassing thumbnail and title one today, but thank you very much for watching, and until Friday's video, have a great evening. We'll see you then. Cheers guys.